Otherwise I'd have to bring you down to earth too. I know this verse hurts you. I tell you what, I give you advice. I'm feeling nice. Your vices could influence your writing if you weren't biting.
Welcome to 3-Count Commentary. Here's your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite from February the 21st, 2023. I like the opening match. It just went downhill from there. It just got progressively worse. But we just got to start with news and notes. Going to be kind of a fun note, because this note shows that AEW is trying to grow. They're trying to do something different, but at the same time, they're making the same mistakes that they always make. AEW has been touting for the last several hours the signing of Jennifer Pepperman, a former WWE writer. They have hired her to be the vice president of content development for AEW. Jennifer Pepperman has worked for WWE since 2017 until she quit, I believe, in mid or early February 2024. She left on her own accord. She was not fired. And now she is, joining AEW. In her WWE tenure, we're not entirely sure what angles she's responsible for. Some people have said that she is responsible for damage control, which that's not a plus in my book, because I hate damage control. But some people like damage control. That's their thing. Okie dokie. Fine. But I don't know what specifically she's done that, makes this a great signing. She has won 3 Emmys. I think all of them are in daytime soap operas. So she is one of Stephanie McMahon's soap opera writers that everybody spent the last decade complaining about. Very interesting decision to hire a soap opera writer. But just because you're good at one thing, I mean, you can't be good at more than one thing, right? Okay. So here's the issue. There's a couple of issues. If you look up her name, the Jennifer Pepperman, you will see that she was a part of the WWE racial lawsuit that from 2023, the infamous writer who stole a chair during WrestleMania, what was it, 38? And then she came back and sued later, saying she wanted her job back. See, Jennifer Pepperman was a part of that. She was mentioned directly as somebody who would switch her countenance and tone when dealing with between black and white people, that she intimidated physically and verbally black WWF staff, that she was discriminatory and, wrote racial stereotypes and all these sorts of things. I didn't put too much stock into it then. I'll put less stock into it now. But because most people who are not AEW haters are not talking about it, some people are just trying to throw it up in their faces. This situation is an interesting thing, though. Not only did Tony Khan, around the time, maybe it's, growth. In the past, he said, we don't need any writers. I work with the best talent in the world. They give me ideas. And now he's hiring a writer because, the guy finally figured out that he may need some help with creative. She at least has experience in the creative department. So that's good. The downside of this isn't that she was sued, for racial discrimination or some nonsense, because we don't know how true that is. And the girl had gotten caught stealing chairs, so of course it's going to be an issue. Is that apparently she got the job because she's good friends with Sasha Mercedes Monet Banks. And apparently they're good friends and they know each other. So this 3-time Emmy winner needed a reference from a pro wrestler in order to get a job in AEW. And this is just all speculation. This part of the video is speculation. The fact-based element is that she won 3 Emmys. The fact-based element is that she was sued for racial discrimination. But the speculation is that she's a friend of Sasha Banks, or she's somebody that Sasha Banks is comfortable. Sasha Monet Mercedes Banks is very comfortable working with. And she's being brought in because Sasha Mercedes Monet Banks feels comfortable with her. So what you're telling me is that this is her Brian Gerwitz. And that's my problem. Like whenever, like Brian Gerwitz following The Rock around, making his coffee for him, making sure The Rock, wakes up on time for his shoot, and I gotta write all The Rock scripts for him, and all this kind of being a purse holder. I can't stand that. I don't understand why The Rock has an entourage for a reason. Why does Sasha Monet Mercedes Banks have an entourage? He just made this mistake with CM Punk, right? He brought CM Punk in. He had to bring in Ace Steel too. It's not just Tony Khan just keeps getting bogged down in this weird thing where he hires one person and he has to hire another person or another person to attend to that one person. It's like, what is this? You have to hire the Young Bucks, which I guess is fine, but you have to bring all their friends too. How do you end up in that situation where you're the guy with all the leverage and all the money? Have we reached that point in wrestling where you can't hire one person without needing to hire their wife, their girlfriend, their best friend, this particular writer that they like so much, and we got to put them all on payroll? It's like, why? How did we get there? Why is it that when you hired CM Punk, you had to hire Ace Steel? It's like, he had to have his own personal producer? How is this? I don't know. I can see making that mistake once. But this is like the third or fourth time, bro. They treating him like, like a Hollywood movie. I got to have my own personal fluffer. I need you to pay for somebody to drive me around. I got to have a chauffeur paid for by you. It's like, is really Monet, Sasha Banks, what did I say her name was? Mercedes, Sasha Banks, Monet. Is it worth it, really, to bring in her entourage? Why stop there? She's got her own personal writer. Why stop there? You gonna hire her husband too, so he can do her makeup? And then what? You go, give money to her puppy because she needs a support animal or something like that? Where do we stop with this? Where do we start with this? And I'm not saying that Jennifer Peppermint is not qualified for the job. Clearly she is. She's got more experience writing than pretty much anybody in AEW. She's worked in WWE. Again, don't know what she's did there, but she worked there. She knows, television and storytelling, soap opera, which is good. She apparently likes wrestling, which is why she stayed in it for so long. I don't have a problem with this hiring. I have a problem if she got hired because she's a friend of Sasha Banks. That sucks. Because she should be able to get this job on the merits. And the merits mean you should be able to look at her and say she won 3 Emmys and she's got at least 7 years of experience in pro wrestling. That should be enough. But if the reason she got this job is because she's close with Mercedes, Sasha Banks, Monet, bullshit. All right? That's bullshit. But okay. I'm interested in how AEW is going to look. Tony Khan needed the help. He desperately needed the help. So I know he's a hypocrite. He said he wasn't going to hire any writers. He didn't need any writers, but he clearly needs help. And he's looking out there and he probably finally sees that the building is fucking empty and says, well, somebody's got to do something. Somebody's got to be held accountable, and I can't fire me. So I just need somebody to pitch me some ideas. He brought in that Will Washington guy who was supposed to help with continuity and all that kind of stuff. That guy's been an absolute flop. So my idea is, I don't think this Peppermint thing is going to change stuff too much, but I'm going to give her some time. Today was her first day on the job. She doesn't know the characters or anything like that. We're just going to give her some time. Give her a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and we'll see if she changes AEW significantly. Some people think that she's just going to be working on the women. That is incorrect. She's going to be working on the product overall. So she's the VP of talent development over the entire brand, which includes all 3 shows. So it's not just that she's going to be the personal attendant of Sasha Banks. Therefore, that little rant was a bit of an exaggeration. Just a little bit. Plus, I said it was speculation, so it is what it is. But she should have been able to get the job on the merits. We'll give her some time to get used to the product and see if she can actually shape the product. And hopefully she can, because when you look at AEW show, and it's damn near empty, and things are lifeless with no energy. A bunch of stuff is heatless and stupid, or just flat out goofy. Angles been dropped and all kinds of stuff. The lack of continuity. That Will Washington guy has been a complete flop. That was his job, right? His job was to be like the continuity guy, to remind you of what's going on, you know, to make sure that things stayed cohesive. I can't see any evidence that Will Washington's fingerprints are anywhere on this show. You know, if that was his job, I don't see it. So, whatever. I'm not going to diss Tony Khan for trying to get help. I'm not going to do that. I am going to diss him for being a mark if he hired this girl, well, this lady, because this woman's 50 something. If she hired this woman just to make Mercedes Sasha Banks Monet happy. Okay, let's move on. The Blackpool Combat Club and FTR fought to a 20-minute time limit draw. And my first response was, I don't know why we needed another time limit draw. Second point is, I thought the time limit was 30 minutes. Why is the time limit on tag matches shorter than the time limit on singles matches? Is that going to be explained, or am I just going to have to say this was arbitrary? Because we know championship matches, it would be 60 minutes. Fair enough. But has the time limit always been 20 minutes on tag matches and we just never got there? Because I don't remember that ever being the case. And whatever. 20 minutes is still, you know, this is a feud. There's people in here I know. The match was solid enough, hard hitting. Guys are really getting it in. I'm okay. Still, they're going to do it again in like 2 weeks. So backstage, FTR says they came to Tulsa to kick some ass, to kick Blackpool Combat Club's ass, and challenged them for Revolution. I said, okay, that makes sense. It's not quite thrown together. I'm actually okay with this. They brawled, continued to fight, continued to brawl. So, well, at least we see what they're going with this. Orange Cassidy is what Renee has been running down Orange Cassidy's schedule, you know, all of the stuff that's been going on with him. And guess what they did after she did all this talking? Guess what they did? They did the most flagrantly disrespectful thing I have ever seen on a wrestling show. They insulted the fans' intelligence to such a degree that I felt like they were pissing directly into my left ear. They showed video packages of Orange Cassidy getting jumped by the United Kingdom. They showed video packages of all of his friends being jumped. They showed video package of his death match against Matt Taven. They showed a video package of him doing media in England. They showed a video package of him wrestling over in Europe. All the stuff that they were talking about, they showed in a video package, which I was told was the single most disrespectful thing you can ask from a wrestling company, is for somebody to do a fucking video package. Thanks. Orange Cassidy then wrestled Mike Bennett, which is legitimately offensive. I don't care about this at all. Orange Cassidy won the match. Then he was jumped by the United Kingdom again, and then Jake Hager made the save. Jakes Hager. Because we're in Oklahoma, Jake Hager makes the save. And where is this guy been? Why is this happening? Is he friends with Orange Cassidy now? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Okay. Whatever. Skinny 2.0. I think his name is Cool Hand. Is it Cool Hand something? I don't know. It's Cool Hand. The greaser of the two. He's going on a date with Ruby a week after Valentine's Day. Odd. Ruby shows up and she looks like straight Urban Decay. I mean, tattoos all over the place. She looked like, you know, New York in the 80s. I don't understand how that's attractive, but everybody's different. Everybody's different. So she shows up. They got a lift coming. They kind of walk off. I'm like, okay, hope he scores. Then a truck shows up. Ric Flair gets out. Okay, what is Ric Flair doing here? Oh, that might be interesting. Ric Flair talks to Renee Paquette, says that he wanted to be more involved with Sting's final match, and he's a little disappointed. He's not disappointed in Sting. He's not disappointed in and anybody in particular. He just needs to go weigh his options. And he goes to knock on the door of the Young Bucks. So he goes to talk to the Young Bucks. This leads to a lot of people saying, oh, Ric Flair's going to turn on Sting. It's a tale as old as time. Ric Flair and Sting are supposed to be friends, and Ric Flair's going to turn on them and join the Young Bucks. Maybe. Here's my thing. How does it benefit this angle for Ric Flair to turn and join the Young Bucks? I guess you could say Flair wants to be responsible for Sting's retirement, or to make sure Sting loses his last match. I guess, but is that, I don't know. I think if you were going to do that, you should have done it in a simpler way. Like he turned that night and surprised everybody by kind of foreshadowing it. I think that it's not going to happen because they foreshadowed it. But it's got a lot of people all, they cranky that Ric Flair is even there in the first place. Darby Allin cut a promo later in the show, talking about perspective and what matters now, and the only thing that matters is family. Sting says that, in all the years that he's been in wrestling, nobody has ever gone after his family except the Young Bucks. Then he mentions that his father passed away. He says his father was his hero, taught him right, and he thinks about his own mortality because at one point he thought he was invincible. But he knows that he's not invincible, but all he has left, he's bringing it to Revolution. And I kind of got chastised from some people for saying this, but I was like, Sting's father died. We're never going to get Christian Cage to say, your dad is dead. We're missing out on some prime television here. I would have loved for Christian to go out there and be super disrespectful to Sting. Super disrespectful. Of course, the wound is very, very recent, and you don't want to go there. It's that recent. But I'm not gonna lie and say that's not the first thing that popped into my mind. I was hearing Christian in my head like, "Your father is dead." I was like, "Ugh!" It took a lot of the the punch out of this promo. If we're being honest, when you got one guy on the show yelling about dead dads pretty much every other week, it's kind of hard to take it, especially since Sting is a senior citizen, so his dad was even older. Sting is almost 70. So how old was his dad, for God's sake? But I know this had to be a tough time for him. God bless Papa Sting. I don't know what his real name is. Papa Borton. I don't know what his name is. But I just wish we could have gotten to a point where Christian could have gone after Sting for having a dead dad. Speaking of which, Daniel Garcia comes out there, and we're going to ignore Daniel Garcia talking. We're going to get straight to Christian. So Christian comes out there, says that Edge will never get another championship match. Says that by virtue of still being alive, Daniel Garcia is the number one contender. He's been on a bit of a run, but doesn't think that the match should happen at Revolution because Daniel Garcia is not ready. He said that people like his dancing and his gyrations, but he feels like they are a distraction because Daniel Garcia wants to make people happy and Christian just wants to be the most dominant champion. Says that, it's weird that you like to make people happy because you've never been that happy. You had a dark childhood. Then he doxed Daniel Garcia, dropped his address on television. Then said that asked if his mom had married his dad, and Daniel Garcia starts pacing in the ring, and then he says that David Garcia is dead. Huge pop out of me. As soon as he started talking about his mother's name, I was like, don't tell me this kid's got dead dad. And there it is. His dad was dead. Called his dad a loser, alcoholic. And says that unlike your deadbeat dad, I don't want to hurt you. I want to be your father. And the disrespect. I love it. This Christian, he might be on the run of a lifetime. Christian is on the run of a lifetime, man. It's not too many people as good as old Christian right now. Daniel Garcia says, you come down to this ring and I'll put you in the ground right next to my old man. Nick Wayne runs to the ring, gets put in a sharpshooter. They don't know how to book a fight scene. Why would you put him in a submission hold? I get that, that's like, I nitpick these things because they're so out of the ordinary. Like, you're pissed off and your first thought is to put a guy in a sharpshooter. Not to like punch him in the head and beat him across the head and neck with your fist and kick him with your legs. Is to, I'm going to grab you and put you in a complicated submission hold, which requires me to tie your legs up. It'd have been one thing if he like put him in a chokehold and like punched him, like what Brett did to Vince when he pulled his shirt over his head and all that. If he'd have did that, that'd have been so much better. It adds realism. It's like I used to get pissed about like Apollo Crews. Like he would get into a fight, Ricochet too, and they would do like jump kicks, and people would have to take a bump on the jump kick, or they'll throw like these stupid forearm shivers. It's like, I've never seen people get into a fight and do jump kicks or forearm shivers, make it look somewhat realistic. Anyway, Daniel Garcia comes out there. He's got Nick Wayne all tied up. Luchasaurus comes down there. I shouldn't pause, by the way. Pause. Luchasaurus comes down there. Pause. And then he gets hit in the back by Daddy Magic. Pause. He hit him from behind. Pause. And then they run off. Christian and his crew, they disappear. They leave. Not really a strong segment talking wise from Daniel Garcia. He tried to show some fire. He's talking about restoring the feeling, and I was like, I don't care about this guy, but whatever. But Christian really sold this for me. I want to see Daniel Garcia kick his shit in. So they did a good job. They made it happen. They made it work. All right. Toni Storm defeated some very skinny Jabberella. I mean, this girl looked like she stepped out of the crowd. I don't know. It looked like she was selling popcorn literally 20 minutes before this. Toni Storm won the match very quickly. She won it with the Venus de Milo, which is Deonna Purrazzo's finish. As she was celebrating, she was going back up the ramp when Deonna Purrazzo entered for her match next. And they did this split screen where Deonna is in color and Toni is in black and white. I don't hate that. Are they going to do that in the match? They're going to have like half the ring in black and white? That might be interesting. Deonna Purrazzo then proceeded to spike Madison Rayne's head into the mat. For starters, I didn't remember that Madison Rayne even worked there. When I saw the graphic, I was like, I'm not going to lie and say I didn't know she worked there. But my God, it's been so long since I've seen her. I completely forgot. This match, of course, was what it was. But Madison Rayne's head goes deep into the mat. And then the referee, to his credit, he saw that she wasn't moving. And he jumped right in there. The doctor tried to jump right in there too. Apparently she said something to them and they all backed off. Deonna Purrazzo looked like she was going to use Venus de Milo on Madison Rayne to end the match. And then she changed her mind and put her in the ankle lock, which was Toni Storm's finish. Well, her new finish, because it just became her finish last week. And Madison Rayne tapped out and they rushed her out of the ring. So clearly Madison Rayne is, I don't want to say she's hurt too bad, but it didn't look good. She went face down into the mat and she kind of stayed there. Now, they didn't do what they usually do when it comes to AEW, which is kind of like leave her there and jump off the top rope on her and all that kind of stuff. But they let the match go. I guess it only had a couple of seconds left anyway, and she just kind of wanted to finish it. She didn't have to get up. So, okay. But that head to the mat stuff that didn't look good. It wasn't sexy. I can tell you that. Wardlow came out there. He cut a promo. It was a fiery promo. It was a very divisive promo. I saw some people that really liked it. Some people didn't. I don't really care what other people think. I'll tell you what I think. Wardlow came out. He told Shivani to kick rocks. Then he starts talking about how 2 years ago, the rocket that was strapped to his back must have been put on upside down because he went straight downwards. Says that he, never got a shot at the world title, and people should be fired and imprisoned for that. Talked about beating up the real world's champion, the guy who is the best in the world. Said that guy's body is still falling apart from what I did to him. said that he squashed the guy who was better than you, and you know it. Then he says that he choked out the king, the most dangerous man in AEW. So that makes him, Wardlow, the best in the world. That makes him, Wardlow, better than you, and you know it. It makes him, Wardlow, the most dangerous man in AEW. He's the baddest man to ever lace up a pair of boots, and that nobody can stop him, and that he is the uncrowned king of AEW. Now, again, for some odd reason, people found this to be a divisive promo. I thought it was okay. It was fire. It was somewhat intense. It was a little long-winded, but the guy made a point. The only problem I have with this is you fucking helped Samoa Joe win the belt. How can you complain about not getting a shot when you helped Samoa Joe get the belt? This was your team that helped Samoa Joe get the belt. Now, he makes a good point. He beat the last 3 world champions. He beat Samoa Joe. He beat MJF. And he beat CM Punk. And he never got a shot. I get that. You know, he should be clubber lying. You know, he should be outside the ring watching Samoa Joe. That would be, of course, if he had not helped Samoa Joe win the belt. He should be calling out Samoa Joe. You ducking me, fool. You just want to fight Hangman Page with this fake ass mustache. You know, just real clubber lying material. But I can't say that his promo, the content of it was wrong or that the content of it was stupid outside of him actually helping Samoa Joe win the belt. That was dumb. So he makes a solid enough point, you know. He goes also on a little stretch where he's talking about, look at me. I am what a pro wrestler and a world champion should look like. And people, you know, they kind of felt a certain way about that because it's a big beefy guy saying I should be world champion. And they're like, no, this is AEW. We don't do that. You don't do enough moonsaults. That swanton you do ain't enough. I was okay with the promo though. I'm thinking that it would be nice if he wasn't hanging around with this gaggle of bums. It would be nice if he had not helped Samoa Joe win the belt. You know, it would have been nice if he'd have did this promo when he first came back. It would have been nice. It just feels like it's 4 months, 5 months, 6 months too late. You know, like this is way too late. Whatever. There was some black bang bang scissor gang nonsense. Who cares? Now Wardlow and apparently Powerhouse Hobbs are going to be a part of something called Meat Madness. We don't know what that is, but it sounds like it's going to be a bunch of big beefy dudes doing stuff to each other, which I'm apoplectic about that, because what it means is that you have guys like Powerhouse Hobbs and Wardlow on your roster, but you have nothing for them. That your creative vision doesn't take into account these guys. You know, like, and who else is going to be in it? Miro? Are you going to put Brian Cage in there? I don't know what it is. It's confusion, but it's heatless and it's pointless. I don't know. I really would prefer Powerhouse Hobbs to be doing something important. I would prefer Wardlow to be doing something important. But Meat Madness it is. Whatever. Don Callis then called Sammy Guevara a cuck. Huge pop out of me. And I co-sign that. I second that motion. I think Sammy Guevara is a cuck. The main event was a 6-man tag full of people. I didn't care about this. Swerve Strickland, Brian Cage, and Samoa Joe won over Hook, RVD, and Hangman Page. The big deal here is Hangman is indignant. His blood pressure is very high. He's very stressed out. And him and RVD, they have a bond of both losing to Swerve or wanting to get revenge on Swerve. Well, Hook wants revenge on Samoa Joe. Also, Hook has had a bit of a tiff with Brian Cage, too, for a little while. And that's kind of the angle here. I don't understand why RVD and Hook are on the heel side of this thing, because Hangman is a heel. So we probably could have put some thought into that and maybe pick some other partners for Hangman, but be that as it may. Heyman popped the crowd by powerbombing Swerve through an announce desk. That was the high point of the match. Samoa Joe ended up winning the match by beating RVD, if I remember correctly. If I don't, then sue me. The show, like I said, it got progressively worse. It started out very good with FTR and the Blackpool Combat Club. Then it just progressively got worse. Ric Flair, I forgot he was even there. The Daniel Garcia promo, I felt like it was way too long. We could have got to Christian a lot sooner. The Wardlow promo was okay. The women's matches were garbage because, Orange Cassidy match, garbage. Jake Hager is the big surprise return. You couldn't find a fuck to give in a wheat field. You just can't find them. The motherfuckers invisible. You gotta be like Pokemon Go, trying to find the fucks that anybody's gonna give for Jake Hager, for Christ's sake, on this planet. Maybe you'll find some fucks on the moon or something for him. You'll find fucks on Mars for Jake Hager that I don't think any exist on the planet Earth. It just feels like, there was no Eddie Kingston. Where's that guy? He's walking around with 3 belts. Nobody knows what's going on. Is he in Japan? Or is he about to do a Japan show? I think that's what he's about to do, is a Japan show. It's just no Danielson. Where the fuck is Danielson? What is going on? It just feels very, very light. Like there's not enough going on. I don't know. Is Danielson even booked for Revolution? If he is, it's probably going to be a wrestling match, right? Versus some guy you got to Google, or some Japanese washout, goddamn Great Sasuke versus, I love the Great Sasuke, but come on, be real. Anyway, that's Dynamite. This one's in the books. Jennifer Pepperman, good luck. You got a lot of work ahead of you. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They